Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, and we're going to talk about some excerpts from this book, Mind Over Matter. It's a picture of the Rebbe actually when he was very young, in his 40s, a little younger than me at that time. In any case, Mind Over Matter deals with a lot of issues, and many times people came to the Rebbe, meaning I'm talking about Rabbi Schneerson in Brooklyn, New York. He passed away in 1994, but of course we have many, actually incredible amount of material that he spoke about or he wrote about. And many people came to the Rebbe for health issues because even though he wasn't a medical doctor, he was a holy man, and he gave blessings, but also gave advice, and that's what we're going to read some excerpts here. People ask the Rebbe what, maybe it's an if, does it really make a difference? Certain things are good, certain things are no good. We always find, eggs are no good for you. Yes, they are good for you. 2 years later, they find out. So they wanted to hear the Rebbe's opinion on things. And we're going to do a few little excerpts. Here's health foods. And the question was that someone wrote to the Rebbe, should one keep to a diet of health foods only? I mean, nowadays we have our organic. Are they really healthful? Of course, they're more expensive, so are you paying for no benefits? Or maybe, obviously, if it's worth it, if it's going to be healthy, obviously money should be no object. And the Rebbe's response is, regarding diets, what one eats is not so important as long as it is properly kosher. What is important is the intent of his eating. Is it to fulfill his desires or to satisfy his hunger? Or does he eat in order to be healthy and thereby to do good deeds? Of course, the Rebbe says the intention because, this is the name of this book, is Mind Over Matter. The Rebbe always felt that things can be controlled with intentions also. And in the Shulchan Aruch, which is the code of Jewish law, where it says that all of a person's actions must be for the sake of heaven. Normal life for any Jewish man or woman is only if their lifestyle is in accordance with Torah and mitzvos as elaborated in the code of Jewish law. Any lack or deviation therefrom puts a person into a situation comparable to a fish that has jumped out of the river or sea onto dry land. Well, maybe I should stop for a second because the quote is from a Gemara from the Talmud, and talking about a story 2,000 years ago. And if you know the basic history, that Israel was ruled by the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago, and they were advanced in many ways, but they were ruthless on the other hand, and also if anybody went against them. So they had many harsh decrees. It wasn't a free country. Thank God we live in America. And they said, well, we don't want anybody learning the Torah, the Jewish laws and the Talmud. So one rabbi kept on teaching. And he said, someone asked him, the Romans are fierce. It was like a death sentence. Why are you doing this? You're putting your life in jeopardy. And the Rabbi Akiva answered him, this is where the example comes from. Says, what if, he gave an example of a fox came over to a fish, and he thinks, well, there's other predator fishes that are going after it. So he says, come here, the fox says to the fish. They're after you, so why don't you just come up here on dry land and they won't get you? And the fish says, stupid fox. Over here they say you're the slyest, you're the smartest of all the animals. Well, you're kind of pretty stupid. Because he says, in the water, it is a danger. Maybe I'll die or get killed by these predators, or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll be able to escape. But if I go on dry land, I'm a fish. Surely I'm going to die. So that's what Rabbi Akiva's answer to that person is, I have to learn the Torah because that's part of being Jewish, whether they get me or not. And the truth of the matter is, the end of the story, the Romans did capture Rabbi Akiva and tortured him to death. But he says, at least that there's a chance that you can escape. So that's what he says, that according to the Torah, you do what the Torah says. Even during the moment that it is still alive, it is only floundering around and not living a true normal life. So even if you think a fish is alive and, like he says, they're floundering, looks like, ooh, still going around. Once you don't have the Torah, you're done. Well, here's a little bit of a longer idea, which is, I think, important to many people, because this is the idea is called meditation, and there's many people who meditate nowadays, I know. So what was the Rebbe's attitude about that? So let's hear. Our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, were shepherds. That's what they did for a living if you read the Bible. Our sages explained that they were completely absorbed in God's will. Living a pastoral lifestyle spared them from the distractions and tumult of most worldly concerns, that they would be able to serve God wholeheartedly. I mean, you have, I'm not on a farm either, but put yourself in that situation simply, is that you take the sheep, and for the most part, they just sit there and they graze. I mean, once in a while a wolf comes, obviously there's some trouble sometimes, and sometimes a sheep goes wandering away, so obviously there's something. For the most part, you just sit there. Well, just sitting there watching sheep is very conducive to meditation and thinking about holy ideas. I mean, if you're directed towards that, it's not like you have customers in the store and every minute you got to help them. How can you think about anything else if every minute some new customer is coming into you? And that's why our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, chose that profession so they could learn, and they're making a living. But on the other hand, they're doing, let's face it, not too much, being a shepherd, and they'll be able to study and learn. The same is true for us. We must separate ourselves at least every now and then from the quote-unquote rat race, from the noise and confusion of city life, and find some quiet time for relative solitude for a couple of hours a day. This is the Rebbe talking. It says, like we are in a very, very busy society. Maybe I could interject again, as I always do, into the Rebbe story. And I remember one little anecdote that wasn't much, but I think it underscores, not a major story, but it underscores lifestyle, that there was two Jews, this is a true story, in Europe, and they used to talk, and one would come over in the middle of the business day, and he'd stop for 10, 15. So now they're both came to America, as many, many Jews did, and the person had a store. So the same thing, the Jew came over, let's talk. He says, I'm your friend. I can't talk. I'm so busy, I'm making a living. I can't just stop in the middle of the day. So the other person said, he says, well, in Europe we used to, I'd come over and, in Yiddish you call it, the Jewish say schmooze. We'd talk it over, we'd have a glass tea, a cup of tea, in the middle of the day. What happened? He says, well, this is the society we live in. You just don't take time off that much. I have people I know, even personally, I teach a class downtown in Albany, so people are, during a lunch break, a person's off. They're allowed to have a lunch break so they can eat their lunch while they're listening and learning. And many people tell, I'm too busy. I said, too busy? It's a lunch break. They got to give you a lunch break. So I'm just so busy I never take lunch. So that's what I'm saying. We're in a society where, unfortunately, people are so busy. And even though it's very paradoxical, because really, people work many places, sunrise to sunset, farmers, and they really truly are busy. And here you have weekends off and 3-day weekends many times. People have vacation times, and really it's like I'm busy. And same idea with even women. In the olden days, you'd have to scrub the clothes and stoke the fire. Here, you hit a few buttons on the laundry, the washing machine, a few more buttons you just tossed in the dryer, and another few buttons. And to light a fire, obviously, is a flick of the wrist on the range. You don't have to get a log and stoke a fire. So you think, wow, if you would think that, the woman has so many hours, free hours, and so easy. Again, I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I don't have any time. So I think it's a paradoxical on one hand, because we're in such a advanced technological society where we do have, like I say, weekends off and 3-day weekends off, and and all kinds of time. We're working 9 to 5. It's not sunrise to sunset. On the other hand, no time, no time. So I think the Rebbe is trying to bring out that it is good not to maybe totally get a job to just go dreaming the whole day. I mean, maybe like a watchman or something like that. No one's saying that. But on the other hand, to take off some time to be have some quiet time. At that time, one should think about matters that bring serenity to his soul and not issues that upset him or make him nervous. Such conduct strengthens the health of the soul, calms the nerves, frees one's thought from disturbances. So it's just important. It's interesting. A lot of things, like we say in society, they teach you how to make a living and, like I say, go to work. But you got to take care of yourself and your own fulfillment and satisfaction also. And that they kind of don't teach you that in college. There's no course for that in college, and that's why the Rebbe gives his advice. And further, as in every other area, regarding meditation too, one may apply the verse, "Behold, I have placed before you today life and good," as well as the converse. Hence, one often finds aspects of idolatry connected with meditations. This is what the Rebbe is bringing out. I mean, you know, we always say Judaism is the one God. It's the father, if you could say, the mother of all religions. On the other hand, to say that all other religions do not have spirituality, I mean, it's a ridiculous statement. So obviously they do. And number two, they also have meditations also. But the Rebbe is just trying to say you can't get into these false and wrong idolatries. It is a famous question, why does God allow the sun, moon, and stars to exist? After all, there are people that bow down and worship them. The sage's response was, just because there are fools, God should destroy his world? I mean, just because there's other things in the world, and like I say, idolatry, people bow down to all these kind of things that still you have to be careful. Meditation is often practiced in conjunction with rituals such as burning incense, bowing down to forms or to human beings, etc. It has thus become a terrible calamity which has spread through the United States and other countries, including the Holy Land. They chose a nice-sounding name for it, transcendental meditation, implying something above the intellect, beyond limitation, despite the fact that it includes outright idol worship, or at the very least derivatives of idolatry. In this present darkness of exile, people don't even imagine how many sons and daughters of Israel, young and old, have fallen into this trap, not only in the United States, but even in the Holy Land, in the holy city of Jerusalem, where they have erected a popular center which they proudly promote here in the diaspora. Our sages say idolatry is compared to leprosy. Indeed, the affliction continues to spread, since each Jewish soul is a complete world. One must sacrifice his life to save it. This is especially so with respect to idolatry, which is a sin where one should be killed rather than transgress. Nonetheless, many people are afraid to get involved. They were in their own eyes as grasshoppers. Again, the Rebbe uses one phrase, and I have to stop and explain it. When the Jewish people sent spies into Israel after 1 year of wandering in the desert, that the spies came back with a terrible report. These are giants. There's no way we're going to beat them up. And here that actually comes to this quote, we were in their eyes like grasshoppers, like nothing. You're going to beat us up. What are you? You're going to go into Israel and beat these guys up and throw them out? They're bigger than anybody. But in any case, that people are bigger and more powerful, but still you have to stand up for what's right. They stand at the side and remain silent. So they're too tough for us. In fact, rabbis are even afraid to rule what types of meditation are permitted, since it is possible that through the permitted kind, people will, heaven forbid, get involved in the forbidden kind. On the other hand, we must remember that we are not talking about healthy people. Indeed, one should not prescribe meditation for a healthy person, which would take him out of his regular sphere of work in the divine service, since man was created for toil. Such a prescription should be the opposite of Judaism, especially the opposite of the path of Hasidus. We believe that people should work amongst others and not